In this video, we'll be talking about shaping your tom sound using the onboard EQ, gating, and compression on the Digidesign Venue. First thing we'll do is push up tom 1 and EQ it a little bit. First thing I'll do on the EQ is get rid of some of the mid-range frequencies. These frequencies make the tom sound cheap, like it's made out of plastic or cardboard. So sometimes I'll do two cuts, sometimes one a little lower and a little higher. So we'll just start sweeping around and see what we need. So that seems like a pretty good spot to cut. Just to make sure, we'll boost it and sweep around some more, see if we hit any worse frequencies. So around 600 hertz seems to be the bad spot on this drum, so we'll cut some of that. And if we want, we can make our Q a little wider to get everything around it too. Now that we've done that, we can add some lower frequencies to the drum to add some beef, some body to the tone of the drum. Now, if you have an RTA or an analyzer, something like Smart, you can kind of cheat here and look at that to see what frequency the drum naturally wants to sing at. So this is tom 1 or rack tom, and so it's probably going to be a little higher, somewhere maybe around 110 or 120. So we'll boost down here and sweep around until we find a frequency we like. So for this drum, around 120 seems to be a good spot. Now we'll go to our high frequencies and add some attack if we need to. This is very similar to a kick drum. I'll usually do around 3 or 4K and then another boost around 10K if I need it. So this is of course optional. If your drum doesn't need it, then you don't need to boost it, just like anything. Now 10K can be really pleasing on a tom. You have to be careful because of the cymbals, but it really adds a nice clean hi-fi sound to your toms. Now I'll go to tom 2 and repeat the same process with the EQ. The second tom is tuned a little lower, so you'll want to boost a little lower. Again, you can cheat if you have an RTA software like Smart or something similar and find where the drum naturally wants to sing and boost that a little bit. Now I'll add some attack to the drum. Now that we have the toms EQ'd and sounding good, we'll move on to gating the toms to get rid of the cymbal noise that we don't want. Now gating toms can really help your mix out because most of the time the drummer is only hitting the toms just a couple times during a song. So if we can close the gates when he's not hitting them, it'll really clean up things. So we'll start with tom 1. Turn on our gate. On the tom, we want our attack to be pretty fast because we don't want to miss anything. So I'll go all the way fast on my attack. Next thing I'll do is set my hold and release times. I want to hear the entire sustain of this tom. So I'll move my hold time to somewhere around 300 or 400 milliseconds. Then I'll also slow my release time down so the gate will close very naturally and you don't hear the gate closing and cutting off the tom's natural resonance. Here I'll go somewhere around 500 milliseconds, which would be a half a second. The next thing I'll do is adjust my threshold so that the tom opens the gate, but the snare does not. Now, one thing to help with this is using your sidechain filter. So we'll go ahead and turn that on now and filter out the high frequencies so that the cymbals in the snare drum aren't opening the gate. Turn the key on, turn on our high frequency filter, and I'll bring that all the way down to around 200 Hertz. So you can already hear, just by doing that, the snare doesn't open the gate anymore. So I'll play with my threshold and make sure that it's in a good spot. Now you hear, by lowering my threshold, you're getting more of the attack of the drum. This is a good thing. So the snare is still not opening it, so I'm good. I'll generally try to take my threshold as low as I possibly can without anything else opening the gate. This ensures that when he hits the tom, it'll open quickly and you won't miss any quieter hits. So you hear there, the snare is opening the gate now. So we'll go back up until it stops. Now, on my range on the toms, I generally go somewhere between 10 and 15 dB. This keeps it sounding a little more natural, so the cymbals aren't pumping in and out quite as bad as they normally would. Now, I'll do the same thing on tom 2. In this case, I'll actually just copy this gate and paste the settings to tom 2 to save some time, and then tweak the settings from there. Now, I'll adjust my threshold so that the gate opens like it should. I'll take it as low as I can until the snare starts to open the gate. Now, in this case, you notice that the kick drum is opening the gate. If we want to fix this, we can go to the side chain and filter out some of the really low frequencies that might be causing this. Now, we don't want to go too high because this floor tom is pretty low. So from here, we'll raise our threshold a little more. And this feels like a good spot. So now I'll let you hear both toms with the gates. And I'll turn the gates off and let you hear before. Now you hear that there's a little cymbal sneaking in after the hit. You could make your release time a little faster to help this out, so we'll go ahead and do that. Alright, and that works. One last note when it comes to gating drums. I always keep an eye on my tom gates, especially in the louder songs, to make sure that the snare is not opening my gates. Now, if you have a quieter song, you'll also need to pay attention and make sure that the gates are opening when the drummer hits the toms. This can be a tricky thing and something to kind of keep in the back of your head at all times if you notice that the dynamics of the set is changing.